Yes, that's right. You read it correctly. It is Sunday Gathering number 140. Woo! Thank you to everyone who's joining us, whether this is your first time here or your 140th time here. I'm Sandra Champlain, and we're so grateful that you are here today. Each and every week, we celebrate life and the afterlife, always trying to give you that shot in the arm of empowerment and joy and connecting the two worlds. It's a beautiful thing. Phil has choreographed our Sunday gathering for today, so I'm going to pass it over to him and let him tell you the theme and introduce the gang.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for that wonderful welcome. It's always a pleasure to be here, and to see that it is number 140 is absolutely marvelous. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for supporting us all the way through the pandemic and further on, and we do not see it ending anytime soon. So here's looking forward to the next 140. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the theme today is thank you. And I want to say a big thank you and also congratulate America for the Thanksgiving. And I hope you had a wonderful time with families. And if you didn't get to meet family, hopefully you had that time over what we're so used to now called Zoom or the telephone. So thank you for joining us. Today's service is about thank you. Thank you for everything that we've had in life, every experience that is about to come. But for all those moments where we're grateful that the universe has provided for us, provided where we can enjoy ourselves, have fun, find friends, and enjoy family. And today's service is no different, except for one little thing. Well, he's not so little. Mr. Darren Wynn is back with us. Okay, and it's an absolute delight to see him again, that nice, cheeky, smiley face. We've all missed him. So if you wouldn't mind putting that in the chat box, I'd be absolutely grateful to say hello, cheeky chops. But there we go. It is a pleasure. Darren will be doing our prayers today. Sandra will be doing the reading and healing as well as us all sharing the address. And the lovely Kerry McLeod will be joining me for the mediumship and the words of the week. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to our lovely Darren to open us in prayer. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you, Phil, for that wonderful introduction. And it's so nice to be back. I have truly missed it. And I've forgotten how many weeks it's been. It's probably been about 5, I think, off the top of my head. But anyway, enough of my rabbiting on. Let's get this service started. So if you'd all like to close your eyes and join me for the opening prayer. United we come together as friends, brothers and sisters from around our world. We come here together today with the same intent and goal within our heart and our mind, to be of service in whatever way we can and truly unite the two worlds together as one under that banner of We Don't Die. To our dear friends, helpers and loved ones of that world we call unseen, we ask that you be with us here once again today as we unite from different countries across our world. We unite speaking different languages and different dialects. We unite together as one, coming together from different backgrounds and different understandings, but we come together here today in the name of love. And as we enter into this experience, we enter into this putting aside our daily lives, putting aside our own wants, our own needs, and our own desires, because we're here to be of service in whichever way we can. So as we enter into this experience, we do so with an open heart and an open mind, allowing our workers here today to cascade the words and thoughts of that world we call unseen, to bring us those moments of joy, upliftment, and healing. Each and every one of us that works on behalf of your world deems this as a joy and privilege to be able to walk by your side, sharing in this experience and allowing us all to be part of this true experience of bringing the two worlds together as one. And each and every one of us thus is with the best of intent, to the best of our understanding and the best of our knowledge. And we truly hope we can make you proud. As we open up this Sunday gathering, as always, we do this with smiles upon our faces, positivity within our hearts and our minds, and love in abundance, so that we can truly create that perfect meeting ground for the two worlds to come together as one. And as always, we ask that that healing light continues to shine to all four corners of our world, to bring that healing balm to the hearts and minds throughout our world that may be in need at this time. So without further ado, my friends, I welcome you here today. Amen.
Thank you very much, Darren. So I have the reading for you. Once upon a time, a guy named Larry and a girl named Joanne were an ordinary couple. They lived in an ordinary house on an ordinary street, and like other ordinary couples, they struggled to make ends meet and to do the right things for their children. They were ordinary in yet another way. They had their arguments. Much of their conversations concerned was with what was wrong in their marriage and who was to blame. Until one day, when a most extraordinary event took place. Larry said, "You know, Joanne, I have a magic chest of drawers. Every time I open them, they're filled with socks and underwear. Joanne, I want to thank you for filling them all of these years." Joanne stared at her husband over the top of her glasses. "What do you want, Larry?" "Nothing. I just want you to know that I appreciate those magic drawers." This wasn't the first time Larry had done something odd, so Joanne pushed the incident out of her mind for a couple of days. "Joanne, thank you for recording so many correct check numbers in the ledger this month. You put down the right number 15 out of 16 times. That's a record." Disbelieving what she had heard, Joanne looked up from her mending. "Larry, you're always complaining about my recording the wrong check numbers. Why stop now?" "No reason," he said. "I just wanted you to know that I appreciate the effort you're making." Joanne shook her head and went back to her mending. "What's gotten into him?" she mumbled to herself. Nevertheless, the next day, when Joanne wrote a check at the grocery store, she glanced at her check numbers to confirm that she had put down the right check number. "Why do I suddenly care about those dumb check numbers?" she asked herself. She tried to disregard the incident, but Larry's strange behavior intensified. "Joanne, that was a great dinner," he said one evening. "I appreciate all of your effort. Why, in the past 15 years, I'll bet you've fixed over 14,000 meals for me and the kids." Then he said, "Gee, Joanne, the house looks great, really spiffy. You've really been working hard to get it looking so good." And even, "Joanne, thank you for just being you. I always enjoy your company." Well, I got to tell you, Joanne was growing worried. Where's the sarcastic and critical husband, she wondered. Her fears that something peculiar was happening to her husband was confirmed by 16-year-old Shelley, who complained, "Dad's gone bonkers, Mom. He just told me I looked nice. With all this makeup and these sloppy clothes, he said it, that I look nice. That's not Dad, Mom. What's wrong with him?" Whatever was wrong, Larry did not get over it. Day in and day out, he continued focusing on the positive. Over the weeks, Joanne grew more used to her mate's unusual behavior and occasionally even gave him a thank you. She prided herself on taking it all in stride until one day something so peculiar happened, she became completely discombobulated. "I want you to take a break," Larry said. "I am going to do the dishes. So please take your hands off that frying pan and leave the kitchen." Joanne was stunned. "Thank you, Larry. Thank you very much, she said. Joanne's step was now a little lighter, her self-confidence higher, and once in a while she even hummed a tune. She didn't seem to have any more blue moods. I rather like Larry's new behavior, she thought. That would be the end of the story, except one day another most extraordinary event took place. This time it was Joanne who spoke. Larry, she said, I want to thank you for going to work and providing for all of us all of these years. I don't think I've ever told you how much I appreciate it. Larry has never revealed the reason for his drastic change of behavior, no matter how hard Joanne has pushed for an answer. And so it will likely remain one of life's mysteries. But it's one I'm thankful to live with because, you see, I am Joanne. And I want to share with you a quote by Cynthia Ozick. We often take for granted the very things that most deserve our gratitude. And as we hear that story, could you imagine being a Larry and being able to transform how Joanne is, her dark days, just by gratitude? So that's a true story. I want everybody just to soak it up. And as we go into our healing, we're going to play a song. And I'm going to ask everyone to add in a little gratitude. I personally feel there is magic in gratitude. But if you notice, when you start to feel grateful for things, our mind kind of wants to derail us and start thinking about the future or the past. It doesn't want to stick with gratitude. Gratitude feels good. So why doesn't our mind want to stick with it? It is my humble opinion, folks, well, many of us feel this, that we are souls having a human experience, divine souls. And gratitude is one of those divine practices that really can move mountains. And so our mind wants to keep us small and forgetting who we really are. So as this music video plays, if you would please, think of things you're grateful for in your life. To send healing, think of the people, the places, the things that need healing. But instead of being grateful for how they are now, be grateful as if they are already healed. See people perfect, whole, and complete. Places that there is not peace on the planet. Imagine peace on the planet. Imagine everyone going into these holiday times feeling love for the spirit world, and say thank you. So here's our song.
Thank you very much for sending healing. Thank you. The words that are said by so many, but do we always mean them when we say thank you? Do we always say thank you and share that gratitude of life? Do we always say thank you and remember what it feels like to link gratitude with the words thank you? As children grow up, they need to be taught gratitude. In a 2010 survey, it was shown that children by the age of 5 link gratitude with happiness. They link gratitude with feeling content by the age of 5. Isn't that incredible? As children begin to grow, they begin to notice the world around them. And you and I know that the more we look for gratitude, the more we look for things to be thankful for, the more we say thank you for them, as Sandra's reading said, the more we are aware of what we're thankful for. So encouraging children to look for things to be thankful for in the simplistic things in life encourages them to be more happy. Remember, children who know about gratitude are more happy. If we look at how children grow up, there are lots of children who say please and thank you, but they're taught to say it because children should have manners. They're maybe not taught it because the gratitude that is applied to please and thank you. Please, if we look at that word, please can be a cry for help, please, SOS, please. Or it can be, please, will you help me? Will you offer me some of your time? Will you offer some of your services? Will you help me in some way, please? Even if it is, I would like this for my dinner, please. And when children say thank you, if we allow them to link that word thank you with real gratitude and to let them feel that happiness that comes from being thankful, then they are going to begin to feel more thankful and more grateful. Now, Phil and I and Darren know a lady, she lives in America. She always contacts us. Her name's Sandra, by the way. She always contacts us, and even on her worst day, she will say, I'm telling myself what I'm thankful for. I'm telling myself what I'm thankful for. And every day she does what she says. She's grateful, she's thankful, she shares it with you, she shares it with Phil and I, she shares it with Darren. There's an incredible gift that happens when we remind other people around about us to be grateful, to be thankful. Because you might be sitting in your home right now thinking, yes, it was Thanksgiving Day in America or Thanksgiving Day in my country very recently, but it was so many days ago. I've forgotten that I meant to be thankful and grateful. If you remember that gratitude, thankfulness, and thank you go together, and that needs to be practiced, just like everything else in our lives needs to be practiced, then even if you're 105, you can feel more happy because you're feeling grateful. And I'm going to leave you with some words of a very, very interesting character. You might have heard of him. His name is Piglet. And Piglet said, Piglet noticed that even though he had a very small heart, it could hold rather a large amount of gratitude. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Gary. It is a wonderful opportunity to say to all of you people, thank you so much for your support. It's one of the simplest things that we can do, but yet it's the most powerful words we can share with somebody. Because if we're honest, we don't have to be children, like Kerry said. We can be adults. And thank you, being grateful for everything we have and having a smile on our faces can make not just our days better, but everybody that we meet as well. That gratitude that we have in our hearts isn't something that speaks, it shines from us. It lights everybody's day, everybody that we encounter. And many, many years ago, when I used to work on the radio, I was quite surprised when we used to meet the listeners. We used to have listeners' days, and each of them said, thank you so much for the smiles. And I used to wonder, but we're on radio. And they said, the sound of your voice, it seemed to be smiling all the time. And it made my day a lot more grateful, made my day a lot happier. And I never really realized it, but you can tell even a smile as you listen to somebody speak affects them. It brings positivity. But we have to be really honest. Life sometimes is a little bit hard, isn't it? It sends us those little gifts called curveballs that makes life a little bit interesting. Well, we have to have gratitude for those as well, because without those, you wouldn't be the people that you are today. You wouldn't be able to stand there or sit there wherever you are right now and look round and maybe at your family, at your children, maybe at friends that you have, those wonderful people, wherever they are in the world, because the technology we have today makes communication a lot more easier. where we can speak. We don't even have to leave the homes. But actually, the more that we realize what we've got, we can be grateful for all those experiences that we've had that may not have been wonderful, but have created us to the personalities, to our characters, to our little traits. And as Kerry was talking about children, I know there's a child in every single one of us here, one of us that wants to have fun. And I can tell you now, I've heard Darren scream, I've heard Kerry scream, I've heard Sandra scream, and Scott too, all having fun. And there's nothing more that you will remember than somebody's laugh, than somebody's smile, somebody's eyes that is full of gratitude, who's grateful for life. Because in that moment, it's not just about what you see, it's about what you feel: happiness, well-being, positivity, grateful to be alive. And some days we wake up and we take a look outside and we see that sunshine, and all of a sudden it just lights up your mind, lights up your soul. It allows you to feel alive. So, ladies and gentlemen, saying thank you, having gratitude, is not for the material things that we have, but for the life that we lead, for the friends that we have, for the family that we share with. Even though we might not have family as in name, some of those friends we have are family. Some we will pick over the family we have at times, but it's from those positive aspects that we enjoy life, that we're able to shine the way for others. So being grateful, having gratitude, saying thank you, simple words, but the feeling is the most powerful feeling within this universe. And it's here where I'm going to hand you over to our wonderful, grateful, with lots of gratitude, Sandra Champlain.
Well, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Darren, because I've got a little theory going on here.
Thank you for that. It was nice to sit and listen to you two talk about the meaning behind thank you. And I'm going to echo some of the things that Phil and Kerry's already touched upon. Thank you. It's two simple words, but it can be meant in so many different ways and come across in so many different contexts. I'm one of these people. I believe in people having manners. You know, I was brought up to have manners, like Kerry's already touched upon. And I was always told to say thank you. So the word thank you I use in my day-to-day life so many times. And I'm one of these people, no matter how small or trivial something is, I will always say thank you, whether it's somebody holding a door open or giving way when I'm driving or whatever. No matter how small it is, I will always go to the effort of saying thank you. But I'm one of those people, when people don't reciprocate it, as Kerry touched on there, I get funny with people when they don't do that, because to me, it's like a normal day-to-day sort of behavior. And I'm usually the first one to make a comment or say something if they don't say a thank you. Yes, I am that grouchy person. So if I do something for someone and they don't say thank you, I quite sharply remind them of having a bit of manners and respect for other people. But that's in a day-to-day life context. Thank you can be so much bigger and mean so much more. And actually, I'm going to touch on our hostess with the mostest here, Sandra Champlain. We've known Sandra for a number of years, and I'm sure Phil, Kerry, Scott will all agree with me. Since we've known Sandra, and I'm sure many of you watching this will agree as well, by the time we've known Sandra, she's probably got one of the kindest, biggest hearts of anyone I know. And like Phil and Kerry said, she's always smiling, she's always bubbly. You never know what's going on negative-wise in Sandra's world, because she's always happy and always bubbly. You know, whereas we could get on the phone and have a rant and a rave about something that's happened. But Sandra very calmly responds to you, and she always puts a positive spin on things. But in the time that we've known her, which it could be considered a long time, but it feels like a short time, Sandra has done so much for all of us, and she's made a massive change within all of our lives in a good way. You know, she has a heart of gold. She's done things with us that we would never have dreamt of within a lifetime. Sandra's given us, you know, many opportunities to do great and wonderful things. And I'm sure, like all of us, for that, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Sandra, for everything you have done and do and continue to do. And there's so many ways we can talk about that word thank you. And it's quite apt, actually. I kind of had an oh my God moment the other day when Phil gave me the theme for this week of thank you. I know we should always be thankful and grateful for everything we've got, and I truly am. But a few days ago, I had this sort of moment. I think I might have been watching the news and seeing what was going on within the world. You know, there's wars going on. There's the economies are in crisis everywhere. Prices of everything's going up. You know, people are starving, going hungry, going cold. And for the first time ever, I sat and kind of went over all this in my mind. And then I started to reflect on my own life and my own world. And I thought, you know what? We all have problems within our lives at times, whether it's financial, health, family, friends, no matter what it may be. But I thought, you know what? I'm truly thankful that for everything that I've got in my life, for the friends, for the family, for the love. And it's the first time I can truly say that I actually truly reflected on my own life and was truly thankful for everything. To the point I sat there in my own little company, and I was sending my thoughts and talking to the other world and saying how happy I was and how thankful I was for everything that's going on in my life. Yeah, it's not always easy. You know, we have tough moments, we all do. And I'm sure we're all going through tough moments at the moment. But you know what? Having happiness, friends and family, you can get through those tough moments. So for me, I think, you know, and I'm sure many of you will agree, those key ingredients, happiness, love, friends and family, that's all we need to have a wonderful life and truly be thankful for. So thank you. And I'll now hand you to Sandra.
Oh, thank you, Darren. I wasn't going to talk about this because I hadn't thought of it, but when you guys were acknowledging me, how easy is it to deflect and say, oh, that's just who I am. Oh, you know, you guys would do the same. I think it's very easy to deflect when somebody gives you a compliment or some sincere gratitude. So let me just say to you three, you're welcome. Isn't there a song from Moana? You're welcome. When you don't say you're welcome and you don't accept someone's kindness, compliment, or their gratitude, someone once told me that it's natural for people to want to give and to want to serve and want to share. But if you don't say you're welcome or accept that compliment, it's like somebody gives you a beautiful present that they took so much care in wrapping and they give it to you. And then you just stamp all over it. You just stomp. Well, that's what happens when someone works up the courage sometimes or really wants to share how much you mean to them and says thank you. So just say you're welcome. So I'm saying that because I just felt it. Easy to deflect, but let gratitude fuel you to continue being more grateful. Reading that story earlier of Larry and Joanne, I thought of a bank machine, an ATM, a money machine, you know, where you put your card in, you take out money. Well, we all want money, don't we? Yes, of course we do. But let's relate gratitude and joy and being happy to money. So if you can imagine a bank and you need to put money in the bank to be able to go to one of those machines to take out the money, right? That's like gratitude. It's a perfect example, that reading that I read to you, because you can see how much Joanne's life was altered by Larry just inserting the cash, putting in the money, of saying thank you. And who knows, since that story was written, how their lives have unfolded. It's so easy to pick apart people for negatives and look at what's wrong. But what if we look at what's right? There's a whole world of miracles around us, even the people that we're with. And don't look at their shortcomings. They know what they are. Look at their positive traits. Remind them of who they are and say thank you. And it'll be really interesting as a little science project, just to see how life goes and how you feel. I know my grandmother used to give little gifts on Christmas. And sometimes they were really cheesy, but that's what grandmas do, right? But as kids, we're taught to say thank you. And I don't get caught up too much in things like The Secret and the law of attraction and those kind of things. But from my personal history and my experience, when we say thank you to grandma, grandma keeps giving, right? When we say thank you to the divine, to each other, when we have that gratitude in our heart, good things start showing up. It's weird. And I do believe that there is some magical divine thing going on. I once did this 28-day gratitude practice and said gratitude. I said thank you many, many, many times a day. Not just saying it, but feeling it. And I had some of the weirdest and most wonderful synchronicities happen. It was, when they say you get to the afterlife, you just think a thought and it happens, right? You want an ice cream and you think it, there it is. Well, adding gratitude in these 28 days felt to me like what must happen in the afterlife, because things started showing up in my life. So try it. First of all, gratitude does feel good. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we are, things happen. I know who's with us today. I know there's many people who have had a loved one pass, whether it's recently or long ago, still experiencing grief. And you're thinking, Sandra, the last thing I can chalk up is what I'm grateful for. But here's the thing, and this might seem overwhelming, but if you have a piece of paper sometime, start by writing 10 things you're grateful for. And it can be simple things that some people don't have. I'm grateful for food on the table. I'm grateful for clean water. I'm grateful for clean air. I'm grateful to have a roof over my head. I'm grateful to have a bed to sleep in. I'm grateful to have modern plumbing. Start with those things. And if you could do, instead of 10, maybe 20. Instead of 20, maybe 30. Sooner or later, you're going to start feeling differently. And I think that's the biggest gift that we can give you. As much as we want to thank others, which is nice, it's wonderful because it'll change their lives. But by giving, we're also receiving. And like I said, miracles can occur. So I'm going to ask everyone, press your raise hand button if you're going to join me this week in being grateful. Let's see them. Put them, hit the buttons, hit it. And I mean it. And even if you want to share with people in your life and ask them what they're grateful for. For those of you who are parents, I didn't know that, Carrie, about young children and learning gratitude, and they're happier. Each one of us has a little child within. So let's do it. Okay, guys? And the last thing I want to say is thank you. Well, certainly it's not the last thing I'm going to say because I'm going to keep talking, but please know there is a heartfelt thank you. Thank you for everyone who's made this Sunday gathering possible. Those of you who have donated, make it possible. My friends, Carrie, Phil, Darren, and of course, Scott behind the scenes. You guys, it was easy to do all of these wonderful things we've done together because I have so much love for you. And I have love for you because you are the most magnificent friends a girl could ever ask for. So, yeah. With that, we're going to do a little change of pace and we're going to move on to our demonstration of mediumship. And we're going to say thank you to our friends in the spirit world and our families who are unseen that are right by our side. Because whether or not we can feel them, they are here. They don't just show up at Sunday gatherings. They're busy in the afterlife. Of course they are, but they can multitask. They're just a thought away. And as we see each week on our Sunday gatherings, our loved ones are witnessing what's happening in our life. They know our thoughts, they know our pains, and they're right here. So it's a beautiful time for people, all of us, to remember how close our loved ones really are. And even if our hearts are sore, because the more we love, the more grief hurts. That is a fact. But we can rejoice to know that they are still with us. So Carrie and Phil will be our mediums today, and you will hear each one of them give a few initial bits of information as a member of the spirit world connects with them. Now, the spirit world, I think, puts these ideas for our themes in our minds. They also know who's going to speak in their world coming through. So one by one, a spirit person will introduce themselves to Carrie or Phil, and you'll hear them give a few initial bits of information. Maybe if it's a man or a woman, maybe what they did for work, or maybe some details about them. We want you to be on the edge of your seat listening, because the spirit world knows who's here today with us live on our Sunday gathering. When they give those few bits of information, if you can understand 100% of the information that is spoken by Carrie or Phil about someone in your life that no longer walks this earth, that's the thing, we want you to press your raise hand button. And like I said, you understand all the information. You go, oh my gosh, that's me. That's my loved one or my friend. And sometimes it could be somebody who's distant, but still in your circle. So if you have not yet had an opportunity to press your raise hand button and you want to make sure you know how it works, feel free to press it now. Sometimes it takes a few minutes to distinguish which person in our community our spirit friend is here for. But once we do, I will press a magic button on my side that will allow you to unmute yourself, and you'll work with Carrie or Phil. Now, your job is really easy because you don't have to say much. We really want Carrie and Phil to do the work and give the evidence that your loved one is communicating through them. So all we need you to say is yes, no, or maybe I don't know to the information that they share. We want everybody leaving here today knowing that they're talking to somebody in the spirit world. And what happens sometimes is somebody may get so excited they just want to volunteer information. We're going to ask you not to do that. Really, only say yes, no, or I don't know. And don't feel bad about saying no. Carrie and Phil teach in their weekly classes. No just means new opportunity. All right? Pretty easy. So we're going to hear a happy piece of music. And yes, Phil, there is a little Sandra magic to our newcomers. Oh, you might see a video that you didn't expect to see within the video. We call that Sandra magic. Imagine and talk to your loved ones. They're with you. The song is just meant to have everyone feel good, feel grateful. All right. So it's a song I think you know well. And like I said, there could be just a little bit of Sandra magic infused. You know, I just have to. I can't help myself. You'll know in a second. Here we go. Are you happy? Because I'm happy. Hi, Carrie.
How could we not be happy with some Sandra magic in there? Phil's at the sidelines here watching and giggling away. Who knew he could make cocktails whilst dancing?
He's multi-talented, that man.
It is lovely to be here. Thank you to Phil for the theme of thank you. And thank you to everybody that is here with us today. I know as I was sitting listening to the song, I was aware of a young boy in the spirit world. And I know he was coming forward singing this song. And as I could listen to the song, I knew that there was a sense of you would know where this young boy would have gone on a school trip. I feel that he is in a bus. Oh, okay. I know the young boy was of school age, and you would know that this young boy would have gone on a school trip, but I actually feel he would have passed with an illness. I feel this young boy went to the spirit world with an illness, but there'd be a memory of waving to him as he drove off in a school bus on a school trip.
Thank you very much.
I actually feel it's son, Sandra.
Okay, very good. All right. Moms and dads, if you can recognize this son and this information, if you would go ahead and press your raise hand button. No hands up just yet, Carrie.
Okay. I do know that there would be a memory. If I drop the relationship of son for the moment, somebody here would know of a young boy in the spirit world where you would have memories of waving goodbye to him on a bus going on a school trip. That would be very vivid in your mind. But I feel like he does pass off an illness. I do feel he passes in hospital conditions.
Thank you, Carrie. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this might not be an immediate relative, so you might need to think a little bit out of the box. But this boy is for someone here with us now.
If nobody's understanding that, Sandra, then I can't change it too much, but somebody in our audience might be a bit worried about putting up their hand. Don't worry, we won't see you, we'll only have your voice. Somebody here would know of a young boy in the spirit world that would have gone on holiday on a bus. If this is correct, then he would have passed in this bus accident and gone to hospital, and you would have saw him in hospital condition, because I know that he passes within hospital, but he brings it very vividly to my mind, this being in a bus and being waved off and somebody saying farewell to him.
That's a special memory. All right, ladies and gentlemen. No hands up yet. Have a good think about this. Or if this sounds familiar and you're skeptical whether you should put your hand up, go ahead and do so. No hands up, Carrie.
Okay. You see, I don't want to change the information, the evidence too much, Sandra, because then I start to move away from what this young boy gave me. If I've got the age wrong, would somebody understand this? He's not our age, Sandra. He never grew up to be going to say a proper adult, whatever a proper adult is. But I know he's a young man or a young boy. I do feel he hasn't got to what we would call adulthood. And I know that there is this memory of him going on a bus and you waving to him as he went off. And I know there is an incredible depth of affection here. So this isn't friend of a friend of a friend. This is somebody that you know quite well. And I know he would have either become ill, or he doesn't show me the accident, but I know he's in hospital and I know he passes in hospital. And maybe somebody is not putting their hand up, or they're answering the door, or they're making a cup of tea, or they're on another call. We know
That
how soon
happens.
it can get.
Well, I wish I could tell you someone has their hand up, but no one does.
Can I try something for a second then? It would be, would there be a young man in the audience, or a man in the audience whose mum is in the spirit world, and he would have memories of looking out of the back of a bus to his mum, and his mum passing in hospital conditions? But it has to be a very vivid memory of looking out the back of that bus.
No hands being raised, Carrie.
Okay, probably for the third time in my whole mediumship life, I'm going to have to drop this contact. I'm not going to say that somebody will notice and somebody will find out and read it and think that that's their loved one, because I don't believe that's how the spirit world work. I believe the spirit world know who's here, and I believe the spirit world are reaching out for somebody here. What I do feel is somebody is in our audience either not fully understanding it, which is okay, or not paying attention at the moment. But for the power of the service, I want to carry on. So if you do watch this in the recording, let me know and then get in touch. But I don't feel that that is how the spirit world work. Okay. Now, it might well be that that person comes in, because I do feel Father here. And as I begin to work with Father, I do feel that he would have been in the military. And I know that Dad would have had an incredible sense of humor. I know with Dad as well, he would have been in the American Air Force, because I know I've got the wings on here. I know too with Dad that his sense of humor would have got him in trouble at the odd time, because I know within the family, he would have been very well known at putting his foot in his mouth, not literally, and getting into trouble. I do feel that I'm towards the west of America with Dad, so probably over towards mid to west America. That makes sense for anybody in our audience.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, does this make sense to someone? If yes, please press your raise hand button. All right, Stacy has her hand raised. Thank you, Stacy. Hi, Stacy.
Sandra, the only thing that doesn't fit is the service type, but he was military.
I do feel I've got the Air Force, Stacy, but thank you for putting up your hand.
No problem, thank you.
All right, we have, well, I think we had Christine. Christine, did you have your hand raised? It disappeared. All right, Jim has his hand raised, so let's bring in Jim. Jim, could you press your unmute button? Hi, Jim.
Hi there.
Hi, Jim. Do you ever understand everything I've said?
I think I do, yes.
You think you do. Let me check with you then. So you know you have Father in the spirit world.
I do.
And he would have been in the Air Force.
He was.
And he would have either been stationed or lived mid to Midwest.
We live in the Midwest.
Okay. And I know your dad would have had an incredible sense of humor.
He did, yep.
So much so he would have got himself into trouble at times.
I'm not sure about trouble.
Okay, then he would have said things in jest, but they would have been very close to the truth and people would laugh, but he would have got away with it.
Yes. Yeah.
I know with your father as well, Jim, that he had a way with people that would have put people at ease, but I've got a caveat to that as well. But you know your dad would have put people at ease.
Yes, he could, yep.
Because I also know he spoke in a way that had people on the edge of their seat in another way.
I'm not sure.
Because I got this sense that people really weren't sure about what would come out of his mouth next.
Yes, I'll say yes. Yep.
Now, Jim, you would know with your dad that he kept a lot of his own personal things to himself.
Yes.
Because I do know, Jim, that your dad had a time where he might have acted like the jokester, but inside you would know he had his own tough times.
I don't know.
Okay. But you do know your dad was a very private man.
I think he was, yeah.
And with your dad, he must have had times where, Jim, would you know that your dad wasn't very open with you?
That's correct.
Okay, because I know there's this, it's not secretive, it's about keeping himself to himself. And I know there would have been, Jim, would you know where when your dad was still walking this earth, you would have had moments where your mood got low,
Yeah,
and your dad wasn't there, didn't reach out to you to support you.
yes, I can take that.
Because I know this feeling inside your dad is such that he needs to be, I know it's about being thankful, but he never told you enough how thankful he was to have you as his son. I want to say, in that reading that Sandra spoke about, how we often take people for granted, I feel like your dad wouldn't have reached out to congratulate or acknowledge things that you did, Jim.
I can understand that. Yeah.
I know too with your dad that he wouldn't have gone out of his way to be there for the achievements in your life as well.
Mm, yes, he did it for a
Because I
few.
know
He
he
did for a few.
he missed quite a few major events that he wishes now he could have got to. You
Yes.
would know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I know too with your dad's work, I know he was away and I know he spent long hours there, but I feel like his work was so much of his life that he didn't leave himself enough space to interact with you.
I'll say no to that.
Okay, then you know your dad's work was a large part of his life.
It was. Yeah.
And I know that he spent a lot of his energy there at his work.
Yes.
I get this sense from your dad that he wishes he had spent more time with you. So would you understand where there would have been things that you wish your dad had been there for with you?
Yes.
Because I got this sense of him not spending enough time with you. His perception, but this is the way he's giving me it. I also feel with your dad that there are very strong memories of you and him going to an air display, an airplane display.
Like an air show.
An air show.
We didn't go to an air show. No.
Then there must have been times where you went. Then it was not that, Jim. You must have gone and saw your dad fly the plane or be in the plane.
I was always with it. I was in the plane.
Okay, because I know there's a sense. Then there must have been moments, Jim, where it was a bit of a thrill.
Yes. Yep.
Because I can feel your dad's excitement at watching you get so excited and such a buzz out of it. I know your dad took you along in a lot of his life, and he is so grateful for those times he shared together with you. I know he taught you lots. That's what fathers do. I know he spent time with you. What he's done is he shared those times he could have spent more time with you. But I know those special moments he had with you, you must have had family barbecues quite often.
Not often. Not often.
Right. Then one barbecue in particular, Jim, you must remember you and your dad being together at that barbecue.
I don't know if there's one in particular.
Then, because I know your dad shows me you and him getting stuff ready and having a chat and just doing normal things when he was at home. And those are the moments that he's wanting, that he remembers. But I know he's very grateful for having you as a son. I know it's the second time I've said that. But I need to say, Jim, that you have achieved something within the last 6 months. Your dad wants to acknowledge the achievement you've had.
Oh, thank you.
Because I know that you would understand that achievement, Jim.
Not a one single event, maybe on a personal level, but not like a recognition or anything.
Then if it's not one particular thing, then there has been a complete change in you as a person, your outlook, the way you interact with people, and the way you deal with your family, you work with your family.
Yeah, I can take that.
Because I know your dad's ever so proud of the change you have made. I know he's just putting a set of wings on you, but that's in recognition of you being your father's son. I also need to acknowledge that he is incredibly grateful for what you're doing, and he's got his eye on you because you've already started talking about things you want to do moving forward. And you spoke to your dad this morning, Jim.
I did not. I don't think I did.
Then you must have had a conversation about your dad. Give me a no, it's not.
No, I'll say no. Not
Okay.
today.
Then watch this space, Jim, because I have no way of proving this, but I have a sense that when you share this with other people and say somebody was speaking to Dad, you're going to find out, because I know he was spoken about this morning. I know you're a few hours behind us, but I know he was spoken about this morning, and it really tickles him to know that he's not forgotten. Jim, at Thanksgiving, there was a special mention made of your dad.
I don't think there was. No.
Okay, then again, there's no way I can prove this, but I'm going to leave those words with you. Sometimes the best proof comes after the fact. But I'm going to say, Jim, your dad is very close to you, incredibly grateful and incredibly proud. Thank you very much, Jim, for allowing me to do that.
No, thank you, Carrie, very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much. Sandra, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Dykes.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Thank you. To our wonderful dancer. I always save Phil's videos for the end because he is the best dancer of our group.
Yes, well, I don't think anyone believes you when you say that, Miss Sandra, but we do appreciate everything that you do in those videos. We really do, even though it makes us go, oh, we're embarrassed, but there we go. But it's a bit of fun. Like you say, it's a little bit of magic. It's always a treat to watch Kerry work. And I'm going to be doing the same, ladies and gentlemen. And we never know how the spirit world is going to work with us, whether they just impress the mind, whether they show us pictures, or it's just a feeling, or they do speak to us. We're totally open. We just have to see what goes on here. But I do know I've got a mother with me because she's just said, get on with it. So I know here, I know with that, she's quite a strong-minded lady. I also know as well, she didn't want any sympathy. I also know with her, she would have had cancer twice within her life, because I just feel that it touched her life. She recovered, then it came back in again. But I just feel it's that mental strength, and she had that gratitude. I know today's theme is about gratitude, about thank you, but I know it's about that gratitude of living life. So I know I have mum, I know she passes with cancer, and I also believe with mum as well that she would be buried close to where the person I want to speak to. It's almost like I want to live in the same village or town where mum is in that cemetery. Or I feel there's a little twist there, actually. I feel mum was cremated, but I know it's almost like the ashes were put in the grave as well with somebody.
Thank you, Phil. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you can understand this information, this lovely lady, if you could press your raise hand button. We had a split second, hand went up, went down. All right, Jill has her hand up. Jill, if you could press your unmute button. Hi, Jill.
Hi, Sandra.
Welcome.
Hello, Jill. How are you?
I'm great, Phil.
Thank you. Do you understand everything I've said?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And would you understand where your mum wouldn't want to dwell on the illness, because I feel she was quite positive?
Yes.
Because it just feels where I want to acknowledge that past, that I want to acknowledge what happened, but it's about the strength and making the most of life.
Yes.
Would you understand, though, with your mum, she could be a bit of a character, though?
Absolutely.
Because it feels that I can say one thing and make the most out of it, but I just feel mum was a fighter and did things her own way.
Yes.
And if I said that not everyone would like how she did things.
Yes, correct.
Because it feels where she got that second chance, that she took life by the horns and made sure she lived it where she could.
Yes.
And if I said that she sometimes told people to, I can't say it that way, I'm going to be very polite here. It just feels where she would tell them to pull their socks up and get on with it. They don't know what they're worrying about. It's almost like she put people down in a way.
Yes.
Because again, but it just feels here. And if I said that Mum was all about the experience and living.
Yes, I can take that.
Bear with me, because it just feels here where material possessions weren't the greatest for Mum.
That's exactly right. Yes.
Because it just feels I want to make the most of interactions, and it's almost where your mum would speak to anybody.
Yes.
And it's almost where she spoke to anybody, she'd tell them about to make the most of life. You don't know how short it's going to be, and that sort of talk.
Yes.
And would I be right in saying one place where we used to live, it was almost a small village?
Yes.
And where we used to live in that village was like down a country lane.
Yes, I'll take
Because
that.
it feels where I want to go back there, where life was much easier before her illness.
Yes.
Because it's full of happy memories. But I just believe that where we lived there was either open land where you would play.
Yes.
And it's almost Mum would have lots of fun, and it brought Mum a lot of joy because she saw you playing in and out. And it must have been where there were trees as well, Jill.
Yes.
And there must have been like a little, I don't know what you would call it in America. I'm just going to use an English term, where there's a little bit of an incline where you could go down into a little bit of a dip or a small valley.
Yes.
And I know, so we, if I'm right here, used to make small like dens or playhouses in that dip.
Yes.
And on good days where Mum was feeling full of life, you would play hide and seek with your mother.
Yes.
And I know there was times where your mother would walk right past you as you hid in the undergrowth or shrubbery.
Yes.
And all that would give you away was the cheeky little laughter and smirks as you went past.
Yes.
Because I know it's that interaction, it's that fun, it's that love and the memory that Mum wants to bring. Like I said earlier, she doesn't want to dwell on her passing. And I know at the end, I need to go back there for a second. I know at the end, it was a case of, I don't want people's sympathy. I want to stay strong as I can for people.
Yes.
Okay. Also, there must have been where we lived, and I think it's the same place, where there was like a small community shop. And again, I feel it was out of the way. It wasn't in the town centre. It feels like it was in the country.
Yes.
And we must have gone there. And I know it in time, this is going back to my childhood, where we used to get things on credit or tick and pay at the end of the month.
Yes.
Because I know there's memories with Mum with this, but I know this about your Mum. She kept her word and everything was paid off.
That's correct. Yes.
Because I know with your Mum, her principles are really strong in the way of, we do what we say, and we make a promise, we keep it.
Yes.
And I know you made a promise to your Mum as she was passing to make her proud and live life to the full.
Yes.
Because your Mum's just said to me, I'm so glad you have made that promise. Bear with me 1 second. Would I be right in saying you still have your Mum's cutlery, knives and forks?
Yes, some of them.
That's fine. And would I be right in saying that there's some English knives and forks your Mum and Dad had, your Mum in particular?
I'm not sure.
Bear with me. Would I be right in saying there were some with like bone handles?
I don't have those.
You don't have those, but I know there should be those because I also know there's fish knives and different things here. So I know Mum was a very practical lady.
Yes.
And would I be right in saying that she would try and give you the most healthiest, balanced diet she could?
Yes.
Because it feels where I'm just bear with me. Something's just moving for me. And I'm just trying to understand this, Jill, for you. Would I be right in saying your dad should be in the spirit world as well?
Yes,
And with your dad, would I be right in saying he used to go fishing
yes,
and he would bring his catch home
yes,
and mum would cook it?
yes.
Because this is where all the knives and forks and everything go together. But there must be memories with dad where he as you were all eating the fish, and a fish bone, a rather large one, would stick in his throat or mouth.
Yes, he hated the bones.
That's fine, because I know there's memories of this, and it's just the way he brings it in for me. I just had to understand it. But I also know as mum, there was times with your mother where things materially weren't in abundance.
Yes, correct.
And if I said she did a lot of home cooking herself,
Yes,
and as a treat, she would make now and again, I don't feel it was all the time, like a Christmas pudding.
yes,
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't like Christmas puddings, but I know that she put, like the English do, either a coin in there, Jill.
no,
Then there must be a memory where your mum, I think I've got it. Bear with me. That's my memory. I just thought it's not quite the same. There must be memories with your mum where she made pies.
oh, yes,
Would I be right in saying when somebody cut into a pie, there was either something in there that shouldn't have been, almost like dropped in the ingredients?
yes, I'll take that.
Because I know here there's mum's memory, because she's chuckling about it. It's about the small, silly moments in life that make life worth living, where we can chuckle and live. So I know that's what mum wants to bring through. But again, here, it just feels like mum and dad want to bring their mental strength in around you at the moment to bring that upliftment and healing to you and people around you in your family. Make sense?
Yes, it does.
Because, and when I say that, I want to be on a physical, almost somebody's had issues with their body, not
Yes.
just mental, because I know that's where that physical sort of healing comes in. So I'm going to leave mum's love, mental strength, but all those happy memories of playing in that dip and in the fields and just really coming alive here.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Jill, for allowing me to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Phil. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. You're absolutely welcome.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Phil.
Okay. I'm aware, as I become aware of the spirit world again, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe I've got a young gentleman, and I want to say, I actually, there's just something I'm not settling with. I've got a mental impression of a young man. I'm just going to go with this. I've got a mental impression of a young man that would have taken his own life. So I know he died through suicide, but I actually feel that he would have used a gun in this process. I do feel it's son, but there's just something not sitting right with me. But somebody must understand that.
Thank you, Phil. Ladies and gentlemen, who can understand this information? You press your raise hand button.
I might have made a mistake because I'm just checking this information. If it wasn't suicide, I know this young man's life was taken. I know there's something to do with this gun here.
All right, we have 2 with their hands raised. 3.
Right, okay. There's quite a few, there's 4 now. That's fine. I actually want to say that this was either accidental or it was just misfortunate. There's just something here. One of the people with the hands would understand this. Could we lower everyone's hands, Sandra, just to see?
Yes. Everyone, your hands are now raised. If you can take that last bit of information, if you could raise your hand again. That it was accidental, is that what you said, Phil?
Yeah, I feel there's something accidental here. And I want to say that obviously it's a tragedy, but and I know it's a shock, but I want to say it's out of out of left field. It just was not in anyone's mind or even thoughts that this could happen, because I just know it's just so out of character.
Right. We have 3 ladies
Okay,
with their
that's
hands
fine.
raised.
And I actually feel that he's either a teenager, because I just feel that we were still at school or college. I know it's one of the two.
Sylvia, your hand is still raised, so we're going to bring you in. Other ladies, please keep
Hi.
listening in. Hi, Sylvia.
Hi. No, it was a long time ago. My mother's cousin, her brother, accidentally shot his cousin in a hunting accident.
Okay. Thank you for that, because I know there's something here that's either misfortune. Would you understand where it would? I know it's accidental, but it must have been questioned at the time, Sylvia.
There was an issue with the gun, apparently.
That's fine, because I know there's just something about being questioned here. But he must have been quite young when this happened.
19.
That's fine, because I just felt I was in those teens, still at school or whichever, or college, because I just got that impression here. Would I be right, though, saying that it was a shock, almost like totally unexpected and not even on anyone's radar?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because it just feels, but it's almost where there was either this must have happened, Sylvia, and let's hope you can remember this, either before a family holiday or a family get-together.
I don't know, but it was I wouldn't have been around.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Bear with me. But Sylvia, would I be right in saying that you also have mum in the spirit world?
Yes.
Because I know here, I thought, okay, what's going on? Why is this communicator coming in from so long back? It must be just to find you. But with your mum, would I be right in saying she loved nothing more than family?
Yeah.
And it just feels here, Sylvia, with your mum, that she loved the family get-togethers.
Absolutely.
And it's almost where she comes alive and she wants to know everyone's business.
Yeah.
And it's almost where she'd be in the thick of it, finding out about what's going on in people's lives.
Yeah.
And I want to say, in a way, it's almost like mum at that point must have been so engrossed in the family get-togethers. Afterwards, she was very tired and shattered.
Yeah, she'd be up all night.
Because it just feels where I'm not stopping talking. I want to interact. I want to see what's going on. I want to find out people's businesses. But it's almost where these times must have been quite rare, because the family must have been quite disbanded.
Yeah.
Because I know it's not just about getting together normally. It's almost like people came in from far and wide together.
Yeah.
And this was that big catch up. And I want to say, though, that in your mum's eyes, that the family was really close, because even cousins, she knew what was going on. And there must have been either regular catch ups by telephone with the outer family as well.
Yes. Yes.
And I also know there should be letters of correspondence where people kept in touch that way as well.
They would have, and yeah.
Because again, it just feels like it's an exciting moment for mum to receive letters. So I know mum, when she passed, there must have been correspondence left as well for her. Where there was correspondence and people found it afterwards.
But I can't remember, but I'm sure there is.
Bear with me. Sylvia, would I be right in saying your mum was a bit of a hoarder in some way?
She kept them things, yeah, she kept them.
Because
yeah.
I know here, it's not just letters, there should be cards, there should be family mementos, there should be almost like postcards as well, the family holidays.
Yes, I found one of her wedding from Amsterdam.
Please don't tell me anymore, because I know here, but would I be right in saying that on the quiet, your mum could be a little bit of a dark horse? She could see the funny side of life.
Absolutely.
Because it feels mum could be a little bit naughty in the right circumstances and with the right people around her.
Yes, yes, definitely.
And I also believe she would have shared things with you that made you blush as well.
Probably.
Let me remind you here. Would I be right in saying your mum would come out with things at times just between you and her, almost so nobody else could hear, where she would discuss other family members?
Not like that, but incidences, yeah.
Okay, that's fine, because I know there's little things the way she brings it out, because I know it's only for you, and I know she wouldn't say it to other people.
Hmm.
Okay, but I do believe as well that it didn't matter who needed help in the family, she was always there and willing.
Yeah, she's mother to everybody.
Exactly, because I just feel, even though I know she's mother, she's still mothering you from the spirit world. And sometimes you walk around the house thinking about your mum.
Yeah,
And if I said, and I know a lot of people believe in the spirit world, but you do believe in the spirit world as well.
absolutely.
Because I feel, Sylvia, sometimes things happen or go on in the house and you say, will you stop it, mother?
Yeah,
Because I know she's laughing here and just making me aware of that interaction still with her.
yeah.
Would I be right? Because she keeps on showing me paperwork. You must still have your mum's death certificates. Or
I
death
have a lot.
certificate.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have. And a
Would
birth
I also
certificate.
be right in saying you have a little box with the old photographs in?
I have.
And would I be right in saying in that box there's also paperwork or letters as well?
Yeah.
And would I also be right on some of those photographs, you don't know who some of these people are?
There is some, yeah.
And even on the back, they've got the names written on there.
Some of them haven't. That's the problem.
Some of them got, but I know some of them haven't.
Yeah.
But would I also be right in saying that one time you used to collect buttons as well?
She did.
She did. That's fine. Because I'm seeing little buttons in there. I'm thinking this is a little bit peculiar, a little bit odd. So I know it was the buttons were right, but I thought they were with you. But I also believe these buttons were quite special that your mum collected, because I don't feel they were just random buttons.
I think some of belonged to her father's uniform.
That's fine. Then if I'm right with this, Sylvia, your father served his country.
No, not my father, my grandfather.
Ah, then you go. Because I feel that some of those buttons were from the army or a uniform.
Yes, my grandfather's.
That's fine, because I knew I had the buttons and I knew they connected to, I'm sorry, forgive me getting it wrong with the father, but I knew they were there. And would I also be right in saying with your mum, you still have earrings of hers as well?
I still have, sorry?
Her earrings.
I have. I bought her the, yeah, I can't, I think I have them up there. Yeah, I think I
Good,
do.
because I know she's
Yeah.
just pointing things out for me, showing me what you've still kept, because I know this contact is a very personal one for you, and your mum's way of showing you her love, her respect, but also where you've been speaking to her, that interaction you still have with her as well. And it's funny because as I'm talking to you, I've gone really cold. So I know mum does this with you at times to get your attention. And I also know with your mum, she was never one to back down where help was concerned.
Yeah.
And I know that's why she's here today, is to bring that help from the spirit world, that positive mind to you as well. Just before I leave you, would I be right in saying there was a birthday yesterday?
No, there's a birthday in.
Oh, don't tell me, because
Okay.
I feel I want you to email me, okay? Because I feel there was a birthday yesterday, but I also feel there's a birthday coming up in the next few days.
There is one coming up next few days.
That's fine. I know there's one just gone as well.
There is one gone on the 11th.
Bear with me 1 second. You must still have mum's either address book or book that kept people's addresses and birthdays and things.
No, but I have the family tree.
Okay. I know there's something in that paperwork that says about a birthday, and I actually feel I want to be, in fact, bear with me, I want to be on the 25th. I want to go. So that's 2 days ago.
Well, her birthday was the 25th of August.
I knew she kept on trying to get me to the 25th. She kept on correcting me. I'm going to leave you with that anyway. Sylvia, it's been an absolute delight and an absolute pleasure to work with you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pure joy, and we're always grateful to work for the spirit world. And I know I want to say from the spirit world, a huge thank you to everyone that comes every week, because I know it makes a difference to mine, to Kerry's, to Darren's, and Sandra's weeks as well, to feel that love, to feel that support. So thank you very, very much for allowing me and Kerry to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. And the buttons my friend made a love heart out of them for me.
Ah, wonderful.
Yeah, it's
Fantastic.
beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. Thank you so much, Phil. And thank you to our members of our community that are in the spirit world that have stepped forward today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a community of the alive people, and they are in our community, and they no longer walk this earth, but they're very real. And just because your loved one doesn't come through or hasn't come through doesn't mean they're not there with you. It does not mean that. And what just came to my mind, because we all want signs from our loved ones, is maybe if we add some gratitude and really think about times gone by and shared memories and feel that gratitude. You might feel a kiss on the cheek. You might have a strange memory that you haven't thought of in a long time pop into your mind. You might smell a cologne. But being in that present moment of gratitude, those little things, those are signs from our loved ones. They don't need to be lights blinking on and off. Not everybody knows how to do that. But pay attention, okay? Because your loved ones are with you. So just some announcements of things coming up. First of all, in about an hour from now, Carrie and Phil do a very engaging talk called Let's Talk Mediumship. And I'm sure you'll enjoy that. All kinds of questions are answered. Your questions are answered if you want to join for that. Also, they get on an airplane tomorrow and they are heading west. They are going to Toronto, Canada, just west of that. They will be there in Cambridge, Ontario, at the Galt Gathering. So if you want to see Carrie and Phil live, you can join them for a class or a demonstration. They would love to see you. They'd love to meet you face to face. Now, everything I mentioned is at wedon'tdie.com. Just go to the store page and then you can click on the links. This Friday, I'll be together with Scott Milligan for what's called In the Arms of Eternity, where we sit for healing, followed by a demonstration of trance mediumship. Coming up very soon on the 10th and 11th of December for our medium students, Carrie and Phil are doing an intensive mediumship weekend. So you don't want to miss that. Also just announced is our friend Sonia Rinaldi. Yes, she's the lady who gets the images and voices from people in the afterlife. She's going to be with us December 18th. After the Sunday gathering, doing a special event with her latest experiments and sharing those. It's not too soon to register for next week's Sunday gathering, and you will get a reminder, but go to wedon'tdie.com, click on the store page, and like I said, everything is there. Okay, so I'd like to pass it over to Carrie for some words for the week.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Thank you, Phil, for the theme and the music.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Darren. It is lovely to be here and to hear Sandra say the reading and all of us deliver the address, reminding us about thank you. 3 simple words: thank you and please. It is absolutely essential that we remember what this is all about. Phil spoke about it being a feeling. It is an absolute feeling. And if you take something with you into the weeks to come, it would be like a cloak. Now I'm going to explain this because Rumi words it perfectly. Rumi said, wear gratitude like a cloak and it will feed every corner of your life. So do you have your cloak on? And are you going to wear it every single day? So if we meet you in the week to come, just flick your invisible cloak of gratitude. We all know what you're doing.
Like
Thank
my hair,
you.
flick it.
Thank you for that, and thank you to all of you for being part of this wonderful Sunday gathering. So we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Now it brings us to the end. So if you'd all like to join me for the closing prayer. Dear friends, brothers and sisters from around the world, we thank you for having the faith and the trust in us to be here today, uniting us all together as one under that banner of We Don't Die, and allowing us to all embrace the joy of being in the presence of the spirit world. To our dear friends, helpers and loved ones of that world we call unseen, We'd like to express our sincere thanks and gratitude for being here with us week in and week out, and sharing your thoughts and your words with all here present, which brings each and every one of us as moments of healing, joy and upliftment, which we can carry forward with us when we leave this Sunday gathering. Each and every one of us still deems it an absolute joy and privilege to walk by your side, working on behalf of the unseen world, and we do this with the utmost integrity to the best of our ability and understanding, and I truly hope we have made you proud here today. As we leave this Sunday gathering and the sun sets on this day, we look forward to the dawn of a new sunrise where we can embrace all the challenges and hard times we may face within our lives, but remembering to be thankful for all the good that we have within our lives and around us. And we can do this in the comfort and knowledge to know that you continually walk by our side, helping us, guiding us, and inspiring us, but most of all reminding us that love and life are both eternal. And for that, we thank you. As we go forward, we ask that the healing light continues to shine to all four corners of our world, allowing that healing balm to touch all hearts and minds that may be in need at this time, so we can make the world a better place for all. Until we meet again, my friends. Amen.
Thank you very much, Darren. Oh, gratitude feels so good, doesn't it? I'm certainly happy. With that, we have a closing song that Phil has picked, and it's called Thank You. A lady named Sue, very creative, created it, and chat box is open. So if you want to put in there, get the ball rolling right now, what you're grateful for, put it in the chat box as our final video is playing. Here we go. Thank you. We love you too. Thank you for the nice messages in the chat box. We will see you next Sunday. Have a great week. And remember, be thankful. Say thank you. Bye, everyone.